My wife walked into my workshop last Tuesday morning while I was rebuilding a carburetor and said, "Charlie, I want a divorce. I'm taking everything, the house, the cars, the retirement accounts." My lawyer later shouted, "Fight back," but I calmly signed all the papers she put in front of me. She celebrated for 2 weeks. Then one morning, someone walked up to our front door. "I'm Charlie Brennan, 62 years old, and this is my story." For 35 years, I thought I knew Patricia. We'd built our life together like any good engineering project: solid foundation, quality materials, attention to detail. I'd retired 2 years ago from my job as an engineering manager at Ford, and we had what looked like a perfect setup. Nice house in suburban Detroit, 2 grown kids, 3 grandkids, and enough in our retirement accounts to live comfortably for the rest of our lives. But here's the thing about systems: they can look perfect on the surface while rotting from the inside out. And I was about to learn that lesson the hard way. The first warning sign showed up on a Tuesday in March. Patty came down to breakfast wearing perfume. Now, in 35 years of marriage, this woman had never worn perfume to her real estate office. Not once. She was always practical about that stuff, said it might bother clients with allergies. "Got a big showing today," she said, not making eye contact as she grabbed her coffee. My engineer brain flagged this as an anomaly, but I dismissed it. After 3 decades together, surely I was overthinking things. Maybe she was just trying something new, updating her professional image. Real estate was competitive, after all. But the anomalies kept adding up like small stress fractures in metal that you ignore until the whole structure fails. Phone calls she'd taken in the garage, closing the door behind her. Weekend yoga retreats that left her with weird tan lines, arms dark, shoulders pale. When I mentioned it, she laughed it off. "Different poses, Charlie. You wouldn't understand." Restaurant receipts started appearing in her purse from places we'd never been to. Expensive places. When I'd casually ask about them, she'd get that irritated look I'd been seeing more often lately. "Business dinners, Charlie. You wouldn't understand the real estate market. It's all about relationship building." Thing is, I understood more than she thought. I'd been managing our household finances for years while she built her client base. Had to. Really. Someone needed to keep track of the mortgage, the utilities, the insurance payments. I knew every account, every investment, every asset we owned down to the penny. And I was starting to notice discrepancies that didn't add up. Money moving around in ways that didn't make sense. Small amounts at first, then larger ones, always with explanations that sounded reasonable but felt off somehow. Like when you hear a strange noise in an engine, might be nothing, but your experience tells you to pay attention. The flowers were what really got me, though. Not for me, never for me anymore, but I'd hear her on the phone sometimes, voice dropping to that soft whisper I remembered from our early days. "Yes, red roses." You know which ones I mean, the way she said it, so tender, so intimate. When was the last time she'd used that tone with me? I honestly couldn't remember. I could have confronted her right then. Part of me wanted to march into whatever room she was taking those calls and demand answers, but something made me hold back. Maybe it was all those years of troubleshooting complex systems at Ford. You don't go charging in when you detect a problem. First, you gather data. You run diagnostics. You make sure you understand what you're dealing with before you start taking things apart. So I started paying closer attention to the details. How she'd angle her phone away when texting, fingers moving fast across the screen. The mysterious charges on our credit card, jewelry stores, expensive restaurants, boutique hotels. Always with cashback transactions, like she was trying to obscure the actual amounts. Did she think I was stupid? Or just not paying attention anymore because I was retired and supposedly out of touch with the working world? The answer to that question would come soon enough, in a way that would change everything between us forever. Looking back now, I realize I'd been in denial for months, making excuses for behavior that was clearly suspicious, telling myself that after 35 years of marriage, I owed her the benefit of the doubt. That whatever was going on, we could work through it like we always had. But denial is a luxury you can't afford when someone is systematically dismantling your life behind your back. And that's exactly what Patricia had been doing. Not just having an affair, but preparing to destroy me financially while she was at it. The whole system crashed on a Thursday evening in early May. I'd spent the afternoon in my workshop, organizing tools and thinking about the fishing trip I was planning for the following week. Small things that made retirement feel like the reward it was supposed to be after decades of hard work. I came inside around 600 and made Patty's favorite dinner. Pot roast with carrots and potatoes, the way her mother used to make it. Figured we could have a nice quiet evening together. Maybe talk about our plans for the summer. The grandkids were coming to visit in July, and I wanted to finish building that treehouse in the backyard. She barely touched the food, just pushed it around her plate like a kid avoiding vegetables. Something was clearly bothering her, and I could feel the tension building like pressure in a boiler. "Charlie," she said finally, setting down her fork with a decisive click that seemed too loud in the quiet kitchen. "We need to talk about what?" I asked, though my gut already knew this wasn't going to be about vacation plans or the grandkids' visit. She couldn't even look at me. 35 years of marriage, countless conversations across this same kitchen table, and she couldn't meet my eyes. Her hands were fidgeting with her wedding ring, spinning it around her finger in a nervous habit I hadn't seen since our early dating days. "I want a divorce." The words hit the air between us like a hammer blow. I'd been bracing for something, but hearing it spoken out loud was different. It made it real in a way that all my suspicions and worry hadn't quite managed to do. "Can I ask why?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "We've grown apart, Charlie. We want different things now." Her prepared speech, no doubt rehearsed in front of the bathroom mirror or maybe whispered to someone else entirely. "I need space to find myself, to explore who I am outside of this marriage." Find herself at 59 years old. Patricia was going to find herself. It would have been laughable if it weren't so devastating. "I want to make this transition as smooth as possible," she continued, her voice taking on that business tone she used with difficult clients. "I've already consulted with an attorney. I'm prepared to be more than fair in the settlement." Fair, the word stuck in my throat like a piece of broken glass. "I'll retain the house," she said, ticking items off on her fingers like she was reading from a grocery list. "It makes sense since my business is established here. The Lexus, obviously. I need reliable transportation for showings. The savings accounts, the investment portfolio. You can keep your tools, your workshop equipment, personal belongings." Each item felt like another nail in the coffin of our life together. But I kept my mouth shut, let her finish her itemized destruction of our marriage. "What about the lake house?" I managed to ask that too. The deed is in my name, after all. And there it was, everything we'd built together. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd thought was ours, all of it was apparently hers. Legally, officially, completely. "I've had the paperwork prepared," she said, sliding a manila folder across the table like a real estate contract. "My attorney reviewed everything. It's more than generous, Charlie, much more than I'm required to offer." I stared at that folder, my hands trembling slightly. Inside were the documents that would erase 35 years of partnership as if they'd never happened. "You should get your own lawyer to look these over," she added. "But honestly, fighting this would just be expensive and painful for both of us. Don't make this harder than it has to be." That night, sleep was impossible. I sat at the kitchen table until dawn, that manila folder unopened in front of me, taking a complete inventory of my life. 35 years of marriage. 2 kids I'd helped raise while working 50-hour weeks, always making sure I was home for dinner, for school events, for the important moments. A house I'd maintained and improved with my own hands, replacing the furnace, updating the electrical, building that deck where we'd hosted countless barbecues with friends and family. Christmases I'd organized, birthdays I'd remembered, anniversaries I'd celebrated. What did I have to show for it? Legally, apparently nothing. Everything was in Patricia's name. The house deed, the car titles, even most of our investment accounts. When had that happened? How had I let it happen? I remembered now. It had seemed logical at the time. Patricia handled the real estate transactions, understood contracts and legal language better than I did. "Just easier this way, honey," she'd said years ago. 1 signature instead of 2, and I'd trusted her completely. The fear started creeping in around 3 a.m., cold and relentless. At 62, what was I supposed to do? Find some studio apartment? Learn to live on Social Security while she enjoyed the fruits of everything we'd built together? I had no active career to return to, no independent income stream. I'd made myself completely dependent on a woman who was now discarding me like an outdated appliance. When I finally opened that folder, the legal language was dense and deliberately confusing. But the bottom line was crystal clear. Patricia got everything. I'd receive a monthly stipend of $1,200 manus, barely enough to cover basic living expenses. 35 years of partnership reduced to what amounted to charity. I should call a lawyer, fight this obvious theft. But even that thought exhausted me. Legal battles required money I didn't have, and Patricia's attorney would be expensive, experienced. She could drag this out for months or years, bleeding me dry with legal fees until I had no choice but to accept whatever scraps she offered. But then something shifted in my thinking. Maybe it was the engineer in me, trained to look at problems systematically. Patricia thought I was helpless, just the retired house husband who didn't understand business or legal matters. She'd been condescending to me for years, dismissing my opinions, treating me like I was intellectually inferior because I worked with my hands instead of manipulating contracts and clients. She'd forgotten something important, though. I wasn't stupid, and I hadn't spent 4 decades managing complex projects, solving technical problems, and troubleshooting failing systems without learning how to think strategically. The next morning, I made my first move. I called Sarah, my daughter, who worked as a financial analyst in Chicago. She'd always been sharp with numbers. Got that from both sides of the family, Dad? She sounded surprised to hear from me so early. Is everything okay? Your mother wants a divorce. Long silence, then. What, Dad? No. Are you sure? Maybe she's just going through something. She's going through something. All right. Sarah, I need to ask you about something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Has your mother seemed different lately when you've talked to her? Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice was careful. She's been, I don't know, distracted. And there was this guy at her office Christmas party. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but tell me, young guy. Maybe in his early 40s, built like a gym rat. He kept touching her arm, standing too close. She introduced him as her personal trainer, but Dad, the way they looked at each other, she trailed off. I should have said something. It's not your fault, I said, though part of me wished she had mentioned it months ago. Sarah, I need another favor. Don't tell your mother we had this conversation. And I need you to help me find someone, a financial investigator. Someone who specializes in following money trails. Dad, what are you thinking? I looked out at the workshop where I'd spent countless hours building, fixing, creating, where Patricia had found me yesterday morning to deliver her bombshell. I'm thinking your mother may have been planning this longer than she's letting on, and I'm going to find out exactly what she's been hiding. Sarah called back within 2 hours with a name and number. Anthony Martinez, a forensic accountant who'd helped her colleague untangle a messy business partnership dissolution. He's expensive, Dad, but his track record is solid. If there's money hidden somewhere, he'll find it. I used money from my personal checking account, the one Patricia had graciously allowed me to keep for household expenses, to pay for the initial consultation. Martinez's office was in downtown Detroit, 30 floors up in one of those glass towers that made you feel small and insignificant. But when the elevator doors opened and I saw him waiting in the lobby, something about his firm handshake and direct eye contact told me I'd found the right person. Mr. Brennan, he said, gesturing toward his office. Tell me everything, so I did. The sudden divorce demand. The papers that gave Patricia everything while leaving me with practically nothing. My growing suspicions about another man. The financial irregularities I'd noticed over the past year. Money moving in ways that didn't quite add up. Expenses that seemed inflated. Income that seemed understated. When I finished, Martinez leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. Do you have access to bank statements? Credit card records? Tax returns? I manage our household checking account, but Patricia handles most of the business finances. I see transfers when she moves money around, but I don't have direct access to her business accounts. That's more than enough to start. His smile was sharp, predatory. Mr. Brennan, I need to be upfront with you. If your wife is hiding assets or engaging in financial misconduct, proving it will take time and considerable resources. And once we start digging, she'll know someone is looking. Are you prepared for that kind of confrontation? I thought about Patricia's dismissive attitude over the years. The way she'd begun treating me like I was mentally deficient, incapable of understanding the complexities of her business world. Yes, I'm prepared. Good. I'll need copies of everything you can access. Bank statements, investment records, tax documents, receipts, everything. Can you get that for me without arousing suspicion? I can try. That night began the strangest week of my marriage. I became a spy in my own house, sneaking around like a burglar while Patricia slept. I photographed every document I could find in her home office: bank statements, real estate transaction records, client files, expense reports. I created a new email account Patricia didn't know about and forwarded everything to Martinez. The whole time I felt like a criminal. This was my wife, the woman I'd shared a bed with for over 3 decades. But the alternative was accepting financial ruin, and I wasn't ready to do that without a fight. Patricia noticed the change in our dynamic almost immediately. How could she not? I'd stopped asking about her day, stopped trying to make conversation over dinner. I was polite but distant, playing the role of the defeated husband who'd accepted his fate. Have you had a chance to review those papers? she asked one evening, her tone carefully casual. Still working through them. Lot of legal language to parse. Her jaw tightened slightly. Charlie, extending this process isn't going to change the outcome. I've been more than fair, more than generous actually, have you? The words slipped out before I could catch them. She stared at me across the dinner table, something new flickering in her eyes. Uncertainty, maybe. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing specific. Just want to make sure I understand all the implications before I sign anything permanent. There's nothing complicated about it. It's all very straightforward, but I caught the slight edge in her voice now, the first crack in her composed facade. She was beginning to wonder what I might be planning. Good. Let her wonder. 3 days later, Martinez called. I need to see you immediately. We've found something significant. The drive downtown felt like it took forever. When I arrived at his office, Martinez's expression was grim, but there was excitement in his eyes, the look of someone who'd just solved a particularly challenging puzzle. Mr. Brennan, are you familiar with a company called Alpine Consulting Solutions? I searched my memory. No, should I be? Your wife owns it. Incorporated it 3 years ago, right around the time she started moving larger amounts of money around. He spread documents across his desk like evidence at a crime scene. According to these records, Alpine Consulting has been receiving payments from various real estate transactions your wife has handled. Payments that appear to be kickbacks for steering clients towards specific mortgage brokers, contractors, and service providers. My stomach dropped. That's illegal, isn't it? Very illegal, but that's just the beginning. He pulled out another set of documents. Over the past 18 months, your wife has systematically transferred money from your joint accounts into accounts controlled by Alpine Consulting. The total amount we've identified so far is $180,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. She's been stealing from our marriage to fund her illegal business practices. It appears so. And Mr. Brennan, the timing suggests she's been planning this divorce for quite a while. She's been moving marital assets into accounts that won't appear in standard divorce proceedings. If you sign those papers she gave you, you'll be waiving your legal right to money that's rightfully half yours. I sat back in my chair, trying to process what I was hearing. Can we prove all this? We can. But I need to warn you, if we expose this, we're not talking about just divorce court anymore. This is fraud, potentially on a federal level. Your wife could face serious criminal charges. Are you prepared for that possibility? The image of Patricia in handcuffs should have bothered me more than it did. Instead, I thought about the personal trainer touching her arm at that Christmas party, the cologne she'd started wearing, the late-night phone calls in the garage, the systematic way she'd been planning to destroy me financially while building her new life with someone else. Yes, I said firmly, I'm prepared for that. That evening, Patricia came home later than usual. I was in the living room reading when she walked in, and I caught the scent of unfamiliar cologne clinging to her clothes. She found me with the divorce papers spread across the coffee table, like I'd been studying them for hours. Finally ready to make this official? She asked, actually smiling as she poured herself a glass of wine. I looked up at her. This woman who'd shared my bed, raised my children, and apparently spent the last 3 years systematically robbing me blind. Actually, I have a few questions first. About Alpine Consulting Solutions. The color drained from Patricia's face so fast I thought she might faint. The wine glass slipped from her fingers, hitting the hardwood floor with a crash that seemed to echo through the sudden silence. How did you— She stopped herself, regrouped with visible effort. That's just a small consulting venture. Nothing that concerns the divorce, really. Because it seems like quite a bit of our money has been flowing through Alpine Consulting lately. $180,000 to be precise. Her carefully constructed mask finally cracked completely. For a moment, I saw raw panic flash across her features before anger took over. You've been spying on me. Going through my private business files. Our files, I corrected calmly. We're still married, remember? Community property state and those business transactions. The ones where you've been taking kickbacks from contractors and mortgage brokers. That's called fraud, Patricia. Criminal fraud. She took a step toward me, hands clenched into fists. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just a bitter old man who can't accept that his wife doesn't want him anymore. Maybe, but federal investigators tend to take financial crimes pretty seriously. Regardless of the perpetrator's marital status, before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Patricia's head snapped toward the sound like a deer hearing a gunshot. Expecting someone, I asked innocently. Through the front window, I could see Kevin Rodriguez's red pickup truck in our driveway. When Patricia didn't move, I walked to the door and opened it myself. He was exactly what I'd expected, younger than me by 20 years, gym-sculpted physique, expensive clothes that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a month. He looked at me with barely concealed contempt. "You must be Charlie," he said. "I'm Kevin Rodriguez, Patricia's trainer." "Trainer," I repeated. "How convenient. Come in." We were just discussing Patricia's business practices. The confrontation that followed was almost anticlimactic. Kevin tried to play the reasonable mediator, suggesting I was being unreasonable about the divorce. Patricia alternated between threats and attempts at emotional manipulation. But I'd moved beyond all that. I had evidence now, proof of systematic theft and fraud that no amount of tears or intimidation could erase. Within an hour, they were both gone, leaving me alone in the house that would soon legally be mine again. The next morning, I filed for divorce on my own terms, with Rebecca Thompson representing me. While Patricia was being served papers at her office, I was at the prosecutor's office filing criminal complaints about Alpine Consulting's fraudulent activities. The legal proceedings that followed were swift and decisive. Martinez's evidence was overwhelming, a paper trail of financial crimes that Patricia's expensive lawyers couldn't explain away or dismiss. When Rebecca called Greg Nash, my old colleague from Ford, as a witness to testify about how Patricia had defrauded the company's employee relocation program, the case was essentially over. Judge Helen Carter was a no-nonsense woman who clearly had little patience for financial fraud disguised as legitimate business. Her final ruling exceeded even my most optimistic expectations. I received the house, 70% of all marital assets, and $4,000 monthly in spousal support for 8 years. Patricia faced 5 years in federal prison for fraud and was ordered to pay complete restitution to her victims. As they led her away in handcuffs after the criminal trial, she looked back at me one final time. I didn't gloat or smile. Justice had been served through proper legal channels, exactly as it should be. 6 months after the final judgment, I sold the house. Too many complicated memories in those rooms, too much history that had been tainted by deception. Instead, I bought a lake house about an hour north, smaller, more manageable, with a workshop that was twice the size of my old one and windows that looked out over calm water. I started a small consulting business, helping other men navigate complex divorces and financial investigations. Turns out there are plenty of guys out there who need someone who understands both engineering principles and legal strategy. Word of mouth kept me busier than I'd expected, and more importantly gave me a sense of purpose that retirement alone had never provided. The settlement money was substantial, and I invested it carefully using everything I'd learned from watching Patricia's mistakes. The monthly support payments arrived like clockwork, garnished directly from whatever work she managed to find after her release. I even started dating again. Helen, a retired librarian I met at the hardware store, makes me laugh and treats me like my opinions actually matter. We take things slow, but it's nice to remember what mutual respect feels like in a relationship. Life at 65 is better than it was at 62, which isn't something I could have imagined during those dark months when Patricia was systematically destroying everything we'd built together. Kevin Rodriguez, by the way, disappeared the moment criminal charges were filed. Last I heard, he was training wealthy wives in Arizona, probably already working on his next mark. Some people never learn. Patricia served 3 years of her 5-year sentence before being released on good behavior. Sarah tells me she's working as a clerk in a small insurance office now, living in a studio apartment and driving a 10-year-old Honda. The real estate license was permanently revoked. Of course, she asked about me once apparently, but Sarah didn't have much to report except that I was thriving. Which brings me to why I'm telling you this story. I'm not unique. Every day, men who've worked hard and played by the rules find themselves facing divorce proceedings designed to leave them financially devastated. Some accept it as inevitable, others fight back but do it poorly, letting emotion override strategy. What I learned is that knowledge and patience are more powerful than anger or desperation. If you're facing something similar, don't sign anything until you've had it thoroughly investigated. Don't trust that fairness will automatically prevail. Document everything. Hire experts who know how to follow money trails, and remember that the legal system works for those who understand how to use it properly. Most importantly, never forget your worth. After 35 years of marriage, I'd almost convinced myself that I was lucky to get whatever scraps Patricia decided to throw me. It took discovering her crimes to remember that I'd contributed just as much to our partnership as she had, and I deserved to be treated accordingly. You do too. Fight smart, fight strategically, and never give up on getting what you've rightfully earned.